Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Garrett Horner. This is stage 4, Giro d'Italia. 171 kilometers, and they have the first big mountain summit finish here at Giro d'Italia. It's 22 kilometers long, 6%, Mount Etna, because we're in the south of Italy. Now, today's stage, I talked about earlier on the Butterfly Effects and Beyond the Coverage. I really wanted to figure out how the tactics would be played throughout today's stage, and especially on the final climb. Now, when the racing started, it was intense right from the beginning because the first 3 days in Hungary, they were slow, easier going stages, sprint stages, short time trial stage. The 5-kilometer summit finish on stage 1 was exciting, but throughout the day, all the way up to that point until 15 kilometers ago, it was a pretty normal, calm day of racing. So you figure it's going to be pretty exciting here on stage 4 with this summit finish. And the first part of this stage is 50 kilometers going uphill most of the time. Now, right away when the racing starts, we're only about 5-10 kilometers into it, and there's going to be an early crash. And Simon Yates, our GC race leader here at Giro d'Italia, is caught up in the crash. Now, we didn't know it at the time. When you're sitting on the couch, he's kind of hidden. I had to go back and find him in the crash later because we saw him at the medical car getting some spray done on one of his knees. So as soon as I saw him at the medical car getting sprayed down, I went back to the film and backed up the camera and had to look for Simon Yates to see if he was caught in one of the 2 early crashes in today's stage 4, and he was in the first crash of the day. Now, that means you don't know exactly how our GC favorite, number 1 GC favorite, he's not the race leader, but he's the number 1 GC favorite. Mathieu van der Poel is the race leader from Alpecin Phoenix. Now, with that first crash, like I said, I didn't know. The excitement in the field was intense at the beginning for the first 20 kilometers of this stage as attacks were going left and right, big moves, and then bam, we see Caleb Ewan and Lotto Soudal at the back doing a bike change. Now, while he's at the back, his teammate Holmes is throwing in attacks up the front. Guys, stop being knuckleheads here, Lotto Soudal. You can't have the number 1 sprinter in the world, and certainly the number 1 sprinter in Giro d'Italia. Okay, I know Cav won stage 3, but we can't argue too much that Caleb Ewan here isn't the absolute hands-down best sprinter in the world. He's chasing back there as his teammates attacking at the front. That's a big no-no. Caleb Ewan will find his way back in with all the aggressive racing, with Mathieu van der Poel, Alpecin Phoenix throwing in big attacks at the front, and that pace just incredibly intense for this first 20 kilometers of racing here at Giro d'Italia stage 4. We're going to see Mark Cavendish, stage 3 winner. He's going out the back early here on stage 4. Now, he'll find his way back on because up front, finally there'll be a selection made. An 8-man break going up the road. Another 5 guys will bridge up to him. And then one solo rider, Lillian, call me Jane. He's trying to get across. He's got the cameras looking at him, and he wants the cameras to go away because he is suffering all over the place on the pedals. And then, amazingly enough, he finds some more strength, and he gets up to the group of 13. Now 14 riders are up the road here early with about 20-25 kilometers into this stage 4. With that group of 14, the Peloton in the back shuts off the gas. They go curb to curb. And now that group of 14 is starting to grab some big time. They'll get as much as 11 minutes fast here on stage 4. I mean really fast. And it'll take until finally Ineos start riding on the front with a little help from Bahrain Victorious. Those two teams get on the front. Now here's where I start smiling ear to ear because this is what I really wanted to see. Are we going to see Simon Yates' Bike Exchange team have to ride for general classification on today's stage 2? Remember, he started the stage 2nd on the general classification. Clearly the favorite for the GC riders in the first position here when you're looking at just all of the favorites to win the Giro d'Italia here. Now, Bike Exchange doesn't touch the front at all. Ineos will start riding along with Bahrain Victorious. Like I said, the time gap will drop down from about 11 minutes to 8 minutes, and then it'll start to stabilize there because that group of 14, now they start knowing they got to get down to business. They start rotating through pretty solid for the rest of the stage until we get into the final climb here of Mount Etna. Now, with Mount Etna starting, and it's going to start climbing really about 35 kilometers out, but the climb proper, 22 kilometers to go, is the main part. over 6% of a climb. So it's a hard, solid climb, but not that crazy steepness that we can see that really blows up all of the favorites on the general classification. At 6% with pure climbers, not with sprinters, not with medium climbers, not with rulers, not with domestique riders, but with pure climbers and GC guys, 6% is as can be set at a pace where there's enough of a draft back there where it's hard to get rid of GC favorites. So let's focus back up on the breakaway, because that group of 14 will start the climb. And early on, it's going to be Stefano Aldini, the Alpecin Phoenix rider, and he's going early. This was a good tactic for Alpecin Phoenix because Stefano, he's not a pure climber, so he's got to hope for some tactical mishaps back there in the group of 13 so that he can gain more time. Now in that group of 13, it's going to start getting whittled down. First rider that we see go off early is going to be Lilian Calmy-Jane. He was the last to get there, and he's the first to come off. After that, Maury Van Savenoff, the quick-step rider, he's throwing in a bunch of different attacks and covering attacks, and that's whittling the group of the favorites back there for the stage win here on stage 4. Now, soon we're going to see with under 15 kilometers to go, Juan Lopez from Trek Segafredo, he's going to throw an attack. He's going to bridge up quickly to Aldani up there from Alpecin Phoenix, and then he's going to blow right past the Alpecin Phoenix rider and start setting on a solo adventure here, trying to win stage 4 of the Giro d'Italia, and he's a GC favorite now because he's the virtual leader here at Giro d'Italia stage 4. But behind, in the group of 6 chasing, there's still some favorites back there because Maury Van Savenoff is the real virtual leader if he can get back up to the front group there with Juan Lopez. But they're attacking each other with Leonard Kamna throwing in some big digs. And then with about 6 kilometers to go, Leonard Kamna will throw in a devastating attack from the group, and he'll set off on his own solo adventure to try to catch Juan Lopez up the road, who's trying to win here at stage 4. Lopez is digging hard, so it's going to take Kamna a couple kilometers to get up to the Trek Segafredo rider. But when Kamna does, quickly between the 2 riders, you see them side by side. Now you'll see one look over at the other look over at the other one, and you know a deal's being made right here. When you do the math, this was the smartest tactic right here for both riders. Juan Lopez wants the general classification race leader's jersey here, the pink, beautiful jersey at Giro d'Italia. So if he can stay up the road, if he doesn't get dropped, if he doesn't get caught from Maury Van Savenoff behind, he could take the pink jersey here at Giro d'Italia. Leonard Kamna, Bora Hansgrohe, he knows right away too, the Trek Segafredo rider is the general favorite to take the pink jersey here. So a deal's made. Leonard Kamna starts working. Juan Lopez starts working. And the 2 will ride all the way to 500 meters where it's Leonard Kamna on the front. When they come down the slight little descent with 150 meters to go into the left turn, the Trek Segafredo rider will lock up his back wheel, and Leonard Kamna will take off to win stage 4 here at the Giro d'Italia for Bora Hansgrohe. Lopez will cross the line on the wheel, the Bora Hansgrohe rider, to take the pink jersey for Trek Segafredo. Now behind, the GC group of favorites. To my disbelief, not really to my disbelief, this is kind of what I thought would happen. But Ineos decided to start riding all the way up Mount Etna, setting a hard tempo all the way in the back. They're setting the tempo so hard that they're just blowing up their whole team. Tom Dumoulin, Jumbo-Visma, that's coming out the back. And then with about 5 kilometers to go, Vincenzo Nibali comes out the back. Astana's having a miserable day because at the early part of this stage, it was Miguel Angel Lopez who dropped out and abandoned here at the Giro d'Italia. Now with Vincenzo Nibali coming out with 5 kilometers to go, Astana's both chances of doing anything here on the general classification has disappeared early in this first week of the Giro d'Italia. It's only stage 4, and Astana have lost any hope of general classification victory here at Giro d'Italia. Now, with Nibali gone, you know Ineos is setting a strong pace at the front, but Simon Yates, Bike Exchange, never near the front, always sitting back. In that front group, looks comfortable the whole time going up this climb. But guess what? He's got teammates with him too. And up front, Ineos are blowing their teammates up left and right. Now, when we come down to the last kilometers of Mount Etna, it's Richie Porte on the front, and he's throwing in everything he can. With just a few hundred meters to go, we finally see Richard Carapaz on the front of the peloton, leading the group of GC favorites across the line 2.5 minutes back. At 7th place on the stage, Richard Carapaz and Team Ineos blew up their whole squad on Mount Etna with the exception of Richie Porte. This tactic made no sense. And let me remind you guys, the whole time Bike Exchange were sitting on pretty throughout this whole stage 4. They never rode throughout the stage. On the last climb, Simon Yates never rode, yet Simon Yates destroyed everybody in the time trial on stage 2. He's clearly climbing well and hasn't touched the front throughout this whole stage 4, while Ineos did the whole job on the front. Now Ineos, when we start looking at later stages here at Giro d'Italia, they don't have cards to play. They've lost their whole team here on the first climbing summit finish of Giro d'Italia. Now, Sean Kelly, the GCN commentator, I agree with him 100%. You heard me rip him apart on yesterday's Beyond the Coverage for his belief saying Matthew Van Der Poel did the perfect lead out on stage 3. That was a no-no. But here, when he's talking tactics with Team Ineos and calling them absolutely complete knuckleheads for doing that much work on the front and pulling Simon Yates and Bike Exchange along for the whole stage 4 ride, for a free ride all the way up to the summit here at Mount Etna. I agree with Sean Kelly 100%. I don't know what they're doing. I expected them to do this, but this is what I was really waiting for here on today's stage 4, was to see which team would take up the reins and do the work. Now remember, guys, 2018 Simon Yates was race leader here at Giro d'Italia. And that year, Simon Yates was blowing bullets all over the place. Magical bullets, just shooting off the gun all over. Winning stages, looking fantastic. Then super late in the Giro d'Italia, he blows up and loses the pink jersey. Later that same year, he goes to the Vuelta, races calm the whole time, takes the jersey later, takes a couple stages, and wins the general classification at the Tour of Spain. We fast forward from every race since that 2018 win with Simon Yates. When you look at him, he always does the minimum amount of work, stays hidden, and then comes out and shines near the end of any kind of stage race he's at. And right here for this stage 4, that's what Bike Exchange were doing. They were sitting back there calm, relaxed, not doing any work at all, while letting Ineos ride the front along with Bahrain victorious. Now, the other big team that won here on today's stage 4, it's got to be Bora Hansgrohe, right? Not only did they win the stage with Leonard Kamna, Trek Segafredo going second on the stage, and then Rein Tarame from Intermarché getting third. But Bora Hansgrohe, with that stage win, let me remind you that when we look back amongst the GC favorites that finished in the front group here on stage 4, all 3 of their guys are there. Jai Hindley's there, Emmanuel Buchmann's there, and Wilco Kelderman is there. At this point in time, Bora Hansgrohe have to be looking like the strongest team here at the Giro d'Italia. They have 3 GC guys that they started with here at the Giro d'Italia. Wilco Kelderman, Jai Hindley, and Buchmann. They still have 3 up on the front general classification, and they're 4th. They're little hidden under the covers there. Leonard Kamna, the guy I picked when the previews here on Beyond the Coverage, and I said you better keep an eye out for Leonard Kamna. Now he's up on general classification, sitting second on the GC when stage 4 ends here. So Bora Hansgrohe have to be the big winner here after stage 4. When we go back to Bike Exchange, I think they're second. They sat back there marvelously. They didn't have to do any work at all. Simon Yates is still solid up on general classification without any of his teammates having to do any work here on stage 4. Ineos, I think they've been catastrophic through this first 4 stages, and certainly on stage 4, riding their whole team all the way up Mount Etna. Why didn't you just ride one guy? If Richard Carapaz isn't going to attack and blow up all the GC favorites here on stage 4 and your Ineos, why didn't you just put Jonathan Castroviejo on the front or Jonathan Navarez on the front? Let him ride the whole climb, lose 1 more minute to the original break up the road that stayed off. Big deal. Then keep your whole team together, keep them fresher, keep them easier, or blow the whole race up. But don't just blow up your team and do absolutely nothing here on stage 4 if you're Team Ineos, and lose any hope of keeping those other guys on general classification that got dropped from Ineos today of being able to attack and put pressure on a Simon Yates or possibly one of the 3 big Bora-Hansgrohe riders, if not 4 of them, that are still up on the general classification here after stage 4. That's my take on the butterfly effect. Ineos, a complete knucklehead here on today's stage 4. Bora-Hansgrohe shining brightly. Simon Yates, same old MO as always, relaxed, calm as a bomb, and still looking like the big favorite for the general classification win here if Bora-Hansgrohe don't pull out something magical with all their favorites on general classification. Let me remind you, 4 of them back there here, second on general classification with Leonard Kamna. It's going to be some exciting racing to come. The next 2 stages should look for some breakaway stages, but the next 2 stages could be really good stages if Intermarché want to bring it down to a field sprint, possibly get rid of some sprinters before the finishing of the stages here, or they're going to have guys in the breakaway. But if they don't have guys in the breakaway, it could be Intermarché wanting to bring these breaks back. Of course, Mathieu van der Poel, Alpecin Phoenix team, they could want to bring it back for field sprints because you could possibly get rid of some of the heavy sprinters and lose them before the finish unless Caleb Ewan still has his magical form. If not, Lotto Sudol will pull everything back and we'll have field sprints for these next 2 stages to come. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Butterfly Effect, and I'll see you guys on the next edition real soon.